Whereabouts are you,
Well,
man?
I'm in LA and it's 3:30 in the afternoon on Tuesday, sorry. So
Ah,
it's Wednesday morning?
yes, I'm coming to you
Oh, wow.
from the future.
That is true. You are calling me from the future. That's what you're doing.
Uh, Look out,
Tell me
mate.
how it goes.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'll let you. I'll give you the lottery numbers. It'll be great. How did you, mate? Category 7. How did you come to be involved in this project? Even.
Phil Demel was the guy who contacted me about this. We have a history with some of the things we've done, some mostly live stuff with Metal Allegiance, the kind of metal all-star thing. We actually went to Rock in Rio together on that and done some shows here in America. And we got to know one another through that. And he told me about this kind of project he was doing with Mike Orlando, who I had never met. And and I said, well, send it to me and let me hear what it sounds like. So he did and sent a couple songs. And I was like, wow, this is pretty heavy and rocking. So I said, well, let me try to write some stuff to it, see what comes out. And we wrote a couple songs and it sounded great. And so we just kind of kept going from there and had fun with it. It was pretty loose and stress-free and just kind of being creative, writing from a distance, and which is a lot of people do that now. And hence, next thing we know, we had enough for a record. So we made a record.
What the songs on this album? What came easiest for you, and what took the most work?
One more time.
What?
Sorry.
Sorry, the songs on this album. Which ones came easiest for you, and which ones took more work?
Most of them were pretty, it wasn't difficult at all for the most part. There was a couple songs that had some uh, crazy arrangements, and some of them were so riffy that it was a little difficult to try to write some melodies to. Waver on the Breaking Point was one of them that was just that song was just out of control musically. So I had to find some space there to sing, and as far as timing goes on those verses, I think that was one of the most difficult ones for me. But and I don't know how that would be pulled off live, quite frankly, but I don't need to think about that today. But probably need a click track or something because it just has crazy timing. But overall, I think most of them were easy to work on. And if they weren't, I probably would have said I'm not the right person for this, because I wouldn't try to make something happen that was kind of didn't feel natural. So yeah, and so I think the key was to just kind of have these really powerful riffing songs with still some killer hooks and with great melodies, and that was slightly challenging, but it wasn't to the point where it was not capable. And Mike, I give him a lot of credit because he's a really awesome guitar player, great engineer, just very talented throughout. And I think he knows that when he writes, he still is thinking vocally, and that was helpful.
What when it came to lyrics for this release, what did you kind of draw upon?
Well, for me, writing lyrics, even that includes the last couple Saint records. I kind of, just open my eyes to the life, to the world around me. What's going on out there. I read the paper, although papers are kind of obsolete these days, but I still love to read the newspaper because I'm old. And it was kind of, conversations, and who knows, it could be anything. I let anything kind of motivate me, and when it comes to writing lyrics, and I really don't feel like anything is something I can't write about. Nothing's out of the boundaries. Like, that doesn't work because that's not metal enough or whatever. I don't care. Just if it's something that I think is something I can be creative with and make people think a little bit, that's really my primary objective. So I'm not trying to tell people what to think. I'm just kind of writing stuff and seeing whether or not people can identify with that and see some connections and correlations. Obviously, we're going through a lot of dissension, more than we've ever probably experienced as humanity. Maybe, I don't know. But and I don't think that's limited to the United States. I think it's happening globally, where people are just kind of dividing and with a lot of topics and subject matter. I think it's a little scary. Deep down, I really don't think people are all that different for the most part. But I think there's a polarization that's happening, and I think those people that are creating more division are very loud. And so when you're loud, it's like a barking dog. It's kind of hard to ignore it. So, I don't know. There's certainly touched on some of that.
Yeah. What I mean, you touched on this before when you were saying you have no idea how to pull it off live. So at this stage, Category 7 doesn't have any touring plans, or that's in the way off
Yeah,
priorities?
we haven't. Yeah, I mean, we don't know. I mean, we haven't. There's nothing planned yet. I mean, I think it was really just putting out the record, and seeing what people, what the vibe is, and how the response is from the public. We made 5 videos, and so we were putting out a video every month. First one was In Stitches, came out beginning of June, and now Exhausted. Sorry, it came out beginning of May. Now Exhausted came out beginning of June, and then the third one will come out beginning of July. Yeah, I mean. I think it's creating a buzz that way and let that kind of determine things. So the only time we've ever been together in a room is when we made videos, which was not really playing, as we all know. So I don't know. There doesn't have to be a rhyme or reason. It's a little abnormal, but with these days, the way people are in a few different projects, obviously everyone in this band has another thing they're doing, if not more than one, and it'll have to coincide somehow, some way with that.
Well, speaking of other things, you're doing a great job of helping me introduce the next question, by the way. Well done.
No problem.
Mate, what future plans do you have for Armored Saint?
Well, Saint just finished a tour here in the US and doing some Canadian dates with Queensryche. We're out for 8 weeks, which was very long. And we're going to Europe at the end of next month, doing about a 3.5, 4 week tour of Europe, which will be cool because we haven't been there since 19, since before COVID. So we love going to Europe, and we're playing some festivals as well, some headlining shows, and that'll be great. Playing some places we never played, like Slovakia and Romania. So that'll be really exciting. And then, we do want to get a new Saint record out sometime next year as well. And we've been doing some writing with that, although it slowed down when we went on the road. I find it hard to write there. I mean, as I was telling somebody before, I don't even want to listen to any music when I'm on tour, let alone write. So, I'd be in the gym on days off, and normally I'd have my headphones on and my iPod, which I still have an iPod, and I couldn't even do it. Like, I just needed an earball break. So, but we're picking back up. I was just working on something a little while ago, and the songs are sounding great. It's sounding a little different than what we did last album, which is cool. And Armored Saint just put out a new video of a cover song from the Four Tops, One Chain Don't Make No Prison, where we're all wearing suits. I don't know if you saw it, but it's very cool and different, a little out of what people would expect from us. So Saint is very busy and continue to go. And, we'd love to come to Australia with both things if one day, because it's been a long time.
You were also responsible for my favorite Anthrax cut, which was Always Room for One More. Um, it,
Cool.
yeah, back jumping in the Wayback Machine, because why not? Could you ever see yourself playing with them again?
I don't see myself playing with Anthrax as Anthrax at this point. I've talked about this for a while, and everybody's like, well, when are you going to do it? An idea of going out and doing some selective shows, playing some of the material from my years in Anthrax, but I don't really see it with the band per se. But I just haven't got that together, and now it's even more the stuff going on. So I don't really know how that's going to play out, but I do want to do that at some point before I die. So, because I think it'd be really cool. I've done a few songs with Metal Allegiance, with Phil Demmel, as a matter of fact, playing with me when we've done some shows, and we did like Room for One More, and we did Only, and it was always great. So it would be fun to do that. I don't know when and how, and one day, like I said, before I die, hopefully.
Well,
I'm looking forward.
I want to preface this by saying this is in no way oh, you sold out, man. I'm very much of the Henry Rollins attitude of, no, fuck you, you've done your time, get paid. I wonder, how did you come to do commercials for Burger King, and who pays better, concert promoters or advertising agencies?
Oh no, and that was a long time ago. Let me stay for the record. It was probably like between like '05 and '08 when I did that. I was just lucky enough. I had a voiceover agent, and they got me. I think I auditioned for it and got the job. And then I ended up being the tag voice for a while, which is really cool. As a matter of fact, here's a funny story for you. I was when the one and only time Armored Saint came to Australia. I was it was during the tag time and when I was the voice of Burger King. And I was there touring and I got really sick. I was unable to actually even perform the final show in Perth. And the band actually played without me, Joey and Jeff singing vocals and just trying to do something for the fans, which was cool. But I literally was in bed. I couldn't move. And but before that, I got a job that I had to do for one of the commercials in Burger King, and I was in Sydney. Well, technically I was in Australia, right? And they said, we want you to do this job. And I was starting to get sick, and I was going, okay, no problem. I could do it. I was in not Brisbane, but I was in Melbourne or Sydney. What's the other city that escapes me at the moment? It's the other big
Well, you've got Brisbane, you've got Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, Perth,
Adelaide. I
Adelaide.
was
Yep.
in Adelaide. Yeah, and so I go, okay, I'm in Adelaide. It's a really big city, here in Australia. We could find a studio, and I could go in and do it. And they're like, no, they want you to go to Sydney. And I was like, but I'm in Adelaide, and it's a really big city. I'm sure there's plenty of studios that I could do it. And I know, but they want you to go to Adelaide. And it was the next day, and we had a day off, and I was like, yeah, but I mean, that's far. And I'm like, I'm in Australia. It's a big country here. And so I had to go to Adelaide, to Sydney, do it, which I did it. And again, I was starting to get really sick. And luckily I pulled it off. I don't know how. And then that night I had to fly to Perth to play the next day, that flight, I was dead. I can't believe I even survived the flight. And then the next day it was in Perth, and that was when I got like utterly sick and I couldn't play. But I was like, I pulled the job off, and I remember walking around Sydney Harbor going, what a beautiful place. I'm so sick and I can't believe I just did this job. And it was crazy. It was really insane. So, but I did it, and that was during the height of the Burger King run. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I did some really fun commercials, and that was when the King was like one of the, he was like the spokesperson. He was just a creepy guy in the commercials, and there was really a lot of fun spots. And I did a Simpsons commercial in conjunction with the Simpsons movie, which was great. So it was awesome. And when it ended, it was a real sad day because you make a lot of money doing that. So it was a dream. I was really happy when I had that run. It was cool.
No, fair, completely fair. What was some of your, just going back to when you were coming up as a kid, what were some of your formative gig experiences? Like, did you have any shows that you saw as a kid and you were like, you walked away going, I want to be a musician?
Well, I saw Kiss at Anaheim Stadium, which is a legendary show, Ted Nugent opening. I was 12 years old. I think it was before I turned 13, but I think it was in the month of August, which is my birthday. It was my first show ever. And we went with like a group of people. It was 50,000 people at Anaheim Stadium where the Angels baseball team plays. And that was quite the eye-opening experience for a 12-year-old, and seeing Kiss on Destroyer, and it was legendary. Then the next show I saw was Queen with Thin Lizzy opening on Day at the Races tour at the Forum here in LA, the arena, and another phenomenal show. So just those two alone were enough to go, okay, I want to be a musician like these guys. And, those bands to this day are still some of my favorite groups of all time, and just incredible musicians. And then I saw Van Halen on their first album tour. I just so many awesome shows. I was very lucky to be able to see some of those shows, and it was great.
Oh, that's beautiful, man. Lastly, pardon me, I know this is a bit of a bargain basement question, but what are some of your, as someone who has been in the metal scene for so long, what remain some of your all-time favorite metal bands and why?
Um, well, Sabbath, without a doubt, for sure, is the king, are they the kings, I mean, Zeppelin, although they're not as metal, if you will, but still Robert Plant, Jimmy Page are legendary to me. You know, Iron Maiden, I saw Iron Maiden opening when we played Rock in Rio with Metal Legions, and seeing them in Rio at Rock in Rio was just like a religious experience, kind of, and they're just so incredible. Newer, well, they're not new bands like Queens of the Stone Age or Foo Fighters. I mean, they're more recent bands, of course, but incredible bands live to still get inspired from. I mean, Metallica, I saw them at SoFi Stadium, and it was an incredible show. And they still are awesome live all the time. And you know, UFO, Thin Lizzy are still going to be two of my favorite bands of all time when it comes to hard rock and heavy metal. I love Phil Mogg as a singer, and early Scorpion stuff is always going to be totally inspiring. And Judas Priest was, nobody was more important during our high school time. Me and the same guys of cranking Unleashed on the Ease and just being blown away by Les Binks on drums and Glenn and KK and of course Rob. So I mean, all that stuff, it's always going to be there, and it's always kind of a part of my life, and kind of I think it inspires me a lot. But I do like to listen to newer music and newer bands and all kinds of music, not just rock and heavy metal. I love old school soul and R&B, and it's whatever. I listen to classical music in the morning when I took my kids to school. They hated it, but I was like, to playing it, and I was, probably they're just like, dude, really? But it's like, say in the morning, I cannot crank, Motorhead right now. So I don't know. It's all there for the taking, and I think it's all inspiring from the beginning till still now.
Awesome. John, thank you very much for your time today, dude. Congratulations on the album. It's absolutely slamming. And
All right.
yeah, man, hope to see you down in Australia soon.
All right. Thank you so much, Tom. Appreciate it. Thanks for the time.